Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Framed Podcast. This is now episode 22. We have been with you for so long, and we have brought some special guests with us today to discuss what I consider a big film. I am Ben. You've got Charlie here. You've got Craig as well, and we are joined by our special guest who can introduce himself now.
Hi, my name is Luis. It's a pleasure to be back again. And Luis loves films on all social media and stuff like that.
Perfect. I think Charlie knows this episode more than me. We've got a lot to discuss, so I can pass you on to him to describe what we're going to do.
Yeah, I think I'm one of two here that's actually seen both things we'll be discussing today, which is myself and Luis. We're going to be going into Zootropolis 2, which is, of course, the big film that Ben was talking about. But I'd argue something even bigger has dropped this week, which is Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 1, which we're going to get into. Breakdown. Craig has come on theme with the Demogorgon. Luis has come on theme with the T-shirt. So we are ready to discuss all things Stranger Things. We're going to jump firstly into our news. There's not much to cover this week, and it's more just sort of excitement and anticipation for these projects we're talking about, and also December and the rest of that month. And then we've also got a little game before we get into our full breakdowns. So,
Nice.
First, we will jump into our news. One thing first, I guess not much to talk about, but Netflix obviously crashed quite a few times when Stranger Things dropped. I think the last thing to do that was Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. So,
can we not compare that?
Yeah, that's incomparable.
Yeah.
Did any of you watch it while it crashed?
No.
I was asleep.
No. Yeah. Fair.
I stayed up till 1 and fell asleep at 1:05. I was fuming.
What was the point?
Hey, to be fair, you didn't miss much, mate. It was an interesting one. However, if you fell asleep watching Stranger Things, you did, because this season cooked. I'm not surprised that it crashed at all.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of anticipation for this season.
It's probably one of the biggest shows. Well, I mean, it is factually one of the biggest shows of all time. You know, it's one of Netflix's biggest shows, but I think 95% of people, minus Ben, have seen the show, and the anticipation was absolutely massive. So, I'm not surprised at all. I would have been watching it release day, but I was working and would have much preferred to watch it on a telly rather than a Travelodge TV, which I think is
nice. If it helps, I watched season 1, but I feel like that's when it came out on Netflix, and there was also nothing else on Netflix at the time. I was kind of forced to, and I'm not opposed to it. I just haven't watched it.
It's great. One of my favorites.
I'm watching everyone just like talk about it, and it's just me like in the corner, like sipping a cup, having no idea what anyone is talking about. Spoilers mean nothing to me.
I guess it's worth saying now, at any point in this episode, we can drop spoilers for Stranger Things or Zootropolis. So if you haven't,
there will be spoilers in this episode.
I wouldn't stick around, but do come back because we'll be discussing everything from both projects. I guess there's no real other Stranger Things news. It's just sort of anticipating the next 2 volumes. But let's jump over to our other topic of the day, which is Zootropolis. Got 2 bits of news on that, which is, of course, it is now the 4th biggest box office opening of any film ever, with 556 million opening weekend, which is insane.
That does blow me away, because
yeah,
in the cinema industry, you can usually feel when a film's doing that.
Yeah,
and like especially here in the UK, it's not even half term.
Yeah,
so
I did
Zootropolis just means it just means it dominated over an opening weekend,
but
and maybe after schools.
Bearing in mind, this is compared to things like Frozen. Like, you're telling me Frozen is potentially being outweighed by Zootropolis, or Zootopia, whatever you want to call it. We'll get that out of the way. We might call it different things, just to say, but that's because there's international titles meaning different things. The official film name is Zootopia, but in the UK and Europe, we call it Zootropolis. Long story. But yeah, for me, it's one of my favourite Disney films. One of my favourite ones. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But like you say, you can kind of feel with some films, that's gonna do numbers. That's gonna be huge. I kind of looked at it a bit like how I was looking at Inside Out, going, ooh, is it going to do well? Is it not? Obviously, Inside Out ended up being one of the biggest animated films of all time, which is great. But it was not. I didn't think that was going to happen. So it's nice to see that they're doing it again. No. And Disney have had some interesting years over the last couple of years, especially Walt Disney Animation Studios themselves. So it's nice to see them actually, coming back. And I've got a very personal relationship to the film, which we'll discuss shortly. But it's nice to see, them getting in that money and the recognition. So.
Yeah. Do you know off the top of your head what the number one was?
For biggest opening.
Yeah.
Endgame.
Oh,
okay. 1.2 billion weekend, which is absurd.
Do you think that'll be beaten next year?
No,
I don't think so.
Really?
You don't think something like Doomsday would?
I don't
think
think Doomsday. I think Doomsday will do numbers. I just don't think it will do numbers such as Endgame, because people have had that whole train of MCU is dead, boring,
Fair.
all that sort of stuff. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's got. It's gonna do numbers. I don't think it's just gonna do the numbers that Endgame will.
Fair enough. Some of the shows have taken people out of it.
Yeah.
I think you don't have the opening weekend as big as it was, but I think the overall traction will become the same. I don't think people have the initial anticipation. They need people to go and watch it and say, "Oh, this is actually quite good," before they go and watch it. I mean, hopefully it's more than just quite good. I'm hoping for a Marvel return to form with Doomsday, but I'd still feel we're not going to get that. I just think it's going to be overstuffed and under-curated.
Now, here's a question: Do you think Brand New Day will do better numbers than Doomsday?
Based on No Way Home's reception, it has a chance.
But also, it will if the audience score is people going, "Hell yeah, go see this film." If people say,
I think you're right.
"Yeah, it's all right," like it's cool, maybe not. But if people hype it up, if it's going to be as big as we are projecting it to be, then yeah, it's going to do numbers. Same with Thunderbolts, same with Fantastic Four. You know, if people have good reception with it, it's going to get bigger and bigger. And I think that's purely what it's going to rely on. And obviously, whether or not Hulk, Punisher, whoever Sadie Sink's going to be playing, you know, there's even more rumored people coming into it, like Florence Pugh, and you know, massive characters. If those guys are in it and it gets confirmed, and then that continues on, then people are going to go and see that just for that alone. So I'm excited to see them deal with.
I wonder if those people have the same pool that, say, like Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe have. I wonder if that's what draws
probably
it back
not. Yeah, probably not. But I mean, people are anticipating a Spider-Man movie at the end of the day. They want to know what on earth's going on. Spider-Man, in my opinion, is, in a modern day anyway, the most popular Marvel character to go and see, especially amongst like family groups and things. So it wouldn't be surprising at all if that's a big pull of it, because although Tony Stark and Captain America are great, it's been nearly 20 years since their movies were out. So
Hulk will bring in numbers, Scorpion and all that will, but I think what will really bring in numbers for this film will be Sadie Sink. I think no matter what character she is or how much of an impact or role she has, she'll just bring those numbers in no matter what.
Is it obviously, from our perspective, someone like Destin Daniel Cretton isn't obviously like, you know, a top tier director, but do you think to the general audience, when they whack in the trailer director of Shang-Chi, do you think that brings in more people? Because to them,
Shang-Chi
not as much as I think you think it does.
No.
Yeah. I think a lot of people chose to ignore Shang-Chi, which kind of sucks because I think it's great. And I think, especially from a fight choreography point of view, a cinematography point of view, it's one of Marvel's best. But I think it kind of came out in that weird limbo period where people weren't quite trusting the MCU because they had things like WandaVision and Loki just before it, but then they also had things like She-Hulk releasing around a similar sort of time. So I kind of think it was in that weird sort of, do we watch it, don't we watch it, just after COVID when people were still struggling to go to the cinema, which I think now we're on the back end of. But hopefully, I mean, it's going to happen in the trailer regardless. They're going to say from the, you know, creator of Shang-Chi or whatever, but we'll see.
I don't think directors pull as much as you think it does. For people that like film, maybe, but you've got to remember that 70-80% of all box office numbers are just generic public that don't know who you're talking about. So the only way to answer your question of will Spider-Man do better numbers than Doomsday is if it's just a good film. As simple as that. Like, a trailer really could determine that. I think you're right. Spider-Man's IP is huge. People just like Spider-Man. Even if it's awful film, people still just like Spider-Man. I think people like going and seeing Marvel films because they always anticipate that something's going to happen in it that you weren't expecting. That's the fun of Marvel now, is that you're waiting for the moment.
Yeah.
And the Spider-Man leaks, yes, they might be very common to us, but again, probably not massively common to the generic watcher. So if they're in the trailer, it will really draw people in because it's so big. Whereas I think Doomsday aren't going to show them in the trailer. Like, whatever surprises Doomsday plans to do, they won't be in the trailer.
No.
Whereas Spider-Man's would probably have the Hulk and Punisher in it.
Well, we know Marvel's prolific for not putting things or editing things out of trailers to make you think that's going to happen, then it doesn't. So, yeah, it will be interesting.
Getting it to do it in the international version.
Yeah.
There is a bit of Marvel news.
Getting hit by nothing.
Sorry, there is a bit of Marvel news this week, actually, that I think should be added to the segment. I don't think it's actually news. I mean, it's probably expected. But obviously, She-Hulk has been confirmed to not get any Season 2 or also any major Marvel role.
What? Oh my god. Shock. Wow.
That's what I mean. It's not really news. It's more like discussion. Because I think it's been confirmed. I think I thought this confirmed this week that they weren't going to have, and she wasn't going to have any major role or any series 2 or anything like that anymore. So,
Do you reckon they'll kill her off?
Potentially.
She could be a very big expendable. I was actually saying to Ben today that I think the way, obviously, they handled Moon Knight has been a bit of an interesting one. I really enjoyed the Moon Knight show. I hated the fact that the director was put in charge of it, and the director hates fight scenes. How can you have Moon Knight and not have fight scenes? Like, he was like, oh, fight scene. Gone to sleep, wakes up, it's all done. It cut corners, and I feel like Oscar Isaac has actually come out and said that he now doesn't want to play Moon Knight just based on the fact that Marvel treated his character the way they did.
Well, yeah, he hates Disney. He won't sign Funko Pops. He hates everything to do with Disney. And he just.
I mean, Star Wars done him dirty. Marvel's done him dirty. It's a consistent theme, and it's a shame because Oscar Isaac's a great actor in my opinion. I think he's
one of the best actors. One of the best actors working today. Yeah.
Exactly, but I think after the success of Blade Knight as well in the Marvel Zombies series, I really wouldn't be surprised if they are waiting to set that up because obviously Blade, what on earth's going on with it? I know from working in industry, it is still in production, it's happening, but it's just very, very slow moving. Not quite sure as to what progression we've had on it, but I think they're going to wait for that MCU soft reboot. They're going to set up a Midnight Suns. Moon Knight's going to die in Midnight Suns, and then we're going to progress to Khonshu doing that whole picking a new target. That's where Blade will come into it, whether it's Mahershala Ali, whether it's Wesley Snipes. His line in Deadpool Wolverine, I've always said is a bit weird. The fact that Marvel chose to include I am the only Blade, will ever be the only Blade, is a very weird choice to me, especially if they were actively setting up a new one. So we'll see how that goes.
We've gone on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump back a little bit, but not as far back as you think I'm going to. And also send us off on another tangent. As we've got a smaller news segment, I want to throw in another question on the box office side of things. We're talking Disney movies. End of this year, we've obviously got Avatar. We're talking box office. We're talking about the 2 billion mark. With Zootopia's recent thing, obviously, that and Inside Out was obviously put into the Chinese market, where there's an insane amount of box office. And you look at something like Ne Zha 2 as well, which has done obviously absurd amounts of money, with over 2 billion coming literally from the Chinese market. Do you think we see Avatar hit 2 billion again? Because James Cameron's come out and said if this one doesn't hit 2 billion, he's not doing any more.
I don't think
he will.
I don't think it will. I generally, outside of a film lovers group, I've genuinely not seen anyone who's like, oh my god, yeah, the new Avatar's coming out. I think they're just like, oh yeah, there's another Avatar film.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Lewis. I think people are just like, oh, there's another Avatar. Like, I haven't seen any discourse. I've seen no conversation. Apart from the film community, I've seen nothing out there. Like, even if you mention it to family, you go, oh, there's a new Avatar coming. They go, oh, really?
Yeah.
And what I feel like will also put people off, which I feel like it's getting worse for like the general public, is the fact that this is a 3.5 hour film. People won't go and sit in the cinema. Like, I will. I'll happily go sit in the cinema. Like, we will. But a lot of people will not go sit in the cinema for 3.5 hours. They just won't do it.
Not at Christmas time when time is short.
No.
Yeah. I think they're going to stop at 4. 4's already in production. It's already starting to be filmed. Weta and ILM are already on that project. I know that already. And the big thing for me that kind of locks that in place is it was really recently just leaked, actually, that Disneyland Paris has got a secondary park called the Walt Disney Studios, which is now going to be changed to Adventure World. And in the central hub, there's a new section opening. It's called Frozen Land. You guys have probably seen that in some way, shape, or form. There's then a Lion King section, which is currently also being built with a log flume in Paris, which is a horrendously cold idea, but it's going to be good fun nonetheless. However, they've also then just released a central hub system for behind the scenes, and each different land is named. And the land that's on the left-hand side is called Loki Navi. So Loki is the code name for the whole park, and then Navi, obviously, being Pandora. And seeing as we've got a Pandora in Animal Kingdom in Florida, we've also got a Pandora being built in California, replacing the Monsters, Inc. ride. And then also now in Paris, I would be very surprised if they then just went, done. They will see out that 4th film, and I think that will then finish the arc, whether they die, whether they succeed. We've obviously, at the end of the day, we've got to see what happens between the battle of the Na'vi and the humans. And that's probably not going to finish in 3. So they've got to wrap that up in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, James Cameron's just wasted the last 25 years. So I reckon that's where it will finish.
I mean, I saw something quite funny today at work. obviously seeing people walk past the posters day by day. You see kids running up to the Five Nights at Freddy's poster and the parents going, yeah, let's go and watch that one. And then the kids point at the Avatar poster and the dad goes, oh, let's not see that, it's trash. And my heart sunk as a big Avatar fan, and having no care for Five Nights at Freddy's, more hyped for that over Avatar was like, wow, there might be a difference in this movie's performance.
Honestly.
But, yeah, that was a crazy thing to hear. Had to really hold my tongue and be professional. Have a nice day. Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about on box office, or should we go into our last bit of news?
Let's do the last bit of news.
What's the last bit?
The news, back to Zootropolis, back on topic, is that they are looking to fast track another 3 Zootropolis movies, with the first one coming out in 2029, and then after that you have the other 2 every other year. So you'd have a Zootropolis in 2029, 2031, and 2033.
Pete, man. I think
it's
such
necessary.
an expansive universe. I think it's it's 2 very different opinions.
Yeah.
I think they deal with subjects in such a fantastic way. The fact that the last one dealt with things like racial segregation and how we should include everybody, no matter who they are, what background they come from. Obviously, there was that weird adult underline of drug dealing, which was just insane. But obviously, that kind of gave it that older feeling. Like the OG DreamWorks stuff is insanely crude, very built for adults, as well as obviously it being a kids movie on the package deal. Shrek 2 is arguably one of the most adult films of all time, and it's fantastic. And the fact they're going back into that a little bit with Zootopia, I mean, we all know the Judy Hopps situation, like half the world are down bad for a rabbit, and you know, it brings audiences in, and it's such an expansive universe that I want to see more of. The TV show they did was straight to Disney Plus. It was called Zootopia Plus. It was a fantastic show. 7 different episodes. They were all like 10 minutes each, but they all were situated around the first film's events, and it kind of led into something we've already seen, and it was perfectly done. It was genuinely one of the best spin-off shows I have ever seen on any project because of the way they did it. Zootopia 2 effortlessly then builds on with that as well. And it just took such a natural turn into a new story. And then the fact that they, as we saw in, spoiler alert here, post-credit scene, there's a post-credit scene in a Disney movie, is nuts, but they're discussing birds. It was specifically said in the first film that birds didn't exist in Zootopia. There wasn't a place for them. So now why is there a bird? They're setting up a third film. I wouldn't be surprised if it's slightly earlier than 29, just based on the fact that's now 3 years away, /4, depending on when it releases in 29. But D23 next year, in obviously 2026, I definitely think that's going to get an announcement in some way, shape, or form. And Jason Bateman's already said he would love a trilogy, so happy man.
A trilogy? Fine.
Yeah.
I don't think we need that many, and I think use Toy Story as an example, right? Toy Story has too many films, of my opinion, and I think they could have wrapped up slightly earlier. I'm not saying I didn't not enjoy the later ones. I just don't think it was entirely necessary, and I don't want this to become one of them.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
The issue I have with Toy Story, though, that I hope they don't do, is Toy Story, they've retconned themselves like 4 times. Woody is in the 5th one. He literally left in 4. Like, what are you doing? On top of that, there's the whole happy ending, final ending of Toy Story 3. Beautiful. Thank you very much. We'll take that and we'll leave it. Bearing in mind, the first one was 95. The second one was the late 90s and 98. Then it went to 2013. Like, there was a huge jump. Or 2011. It kind of depends where you were. And then another 10 years, nearly. It was like, they're just leaving it such random intervals, and it's fully a cash grab, which sucks for me because Pixar.
Yeah.
I love Pixar. I've wanted to work for them since I was 4. But if you look at the Pixar slate now, the original movies like Elio, which was the first podcast I did with you guys, it didn't do very well because people weren't talking about it. There's no marketing there, but it's a great film. It's a Pixar film. It's there's no bad Pixar film, and I will die on that hill. Cars 2 is a good film. However, it's just a shame because it's dying slightly, and I feel like they're doing themselves an injustice by releasing all these sequels because realistically that's the only way they're going to make money and stay alive as a studio, which hurts. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably go more into this in the Zootropolis bit.
True.
I felt like one thing for me is that obviously the central dynamic of those films is Nick and Judy. I found myself getting a bit sick of their repeated dynamic by the end of it. So I don't know how much further they can span that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like it's so obvious that Disney want to make them kiss, but then they're also two different animals. Weird. Like we can't be having a weird creep.
I know exactly the scene you're talking about as well.
Bro, like there's the tension's insane. It's crazy. Oh,
Right.
Anyway,
to jump
what's
out
the
the
game?
news. We're going to the game. The game is Zootropolis themed, but I think Craig, you'll be able to jump in on this. It's
I can
pretty
jump in. Let's do it.
kind of it's more a guessing game, but I think we unfortunately have the secret weapon that is LuisLovesFilms, who knows everything about Disney. He's basically the Disney encyclopedia with arms and legs. It's essentially, are they in Zootropolis 2 or are they not in Zootropolis 2? And for lack of better names, that is going to be the insanely long title that we have for this game. It's essentially, I have 10 names. Do they appear in Zootropolis as a voice cameo or do they not? Simple enough.
All right. Do it. Let's do it.
First off, I do not know how to pronounce his name, but it's Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
he plays the lizard.
He's been in like 1,000 films, so I wouldn't be surprised if he made some sort of cameo in this. I'll go yeah.
He actually has a sizable role.
Yeah, he plays the lizard. I can't remember his name.
Does he?
Yeah. He gave
I
up,
haven't seen the film, so I don't know.
And
But to be fair, he doesn't sound like Danny Trejo at all. Like,
no.
There's a lot of these roles which you wouldn't necessarily know, but they cast like over 75 A-list actors as random characters. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Your next one is Simu Liu.
Don't know.
No.
I'm going to say no to spin the wheel.
Shang-Chi has not been made an animal yet.
Yet.
Who knows? There's three more to come, who knows? Ed Sheeran.
Yes, he was in it.
Yes.
Was he?
He plays the sheep at the start that says beautiful, and his character name is Ed Sheeran. He says one word, and he also wrote and produced Shakira's big song in the film.
Yeah, she's done 2 for 2 now.
Yeah.
Next one, Tom Hiddleston.
No.
I'm going to say no.
No, he's not in the Zootopia.
Okay, cool.
The Rock.
Yes.
No.
He plays.
He that gets stuck in a trumpet or something.
He has one singular scream.
I watched it with my little brother, and it went, "Oh, there's a dick stuck in a tuba," and he went, "A what?"
I don't remember him saying anything though.
He literally just goes.
He basically just screams. He goes, "Help me!" That's about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So The Rock on Insane on the tune. Up next is Tom Holland.
No.
Hear me out. If they ever introduce insects, can we have Spider-Man play a spider? Thank you, Disney. Up next is Viola Davis.
Yes.
I can imagine she would. I don't think she is, but I can imagine she would.
Viola Davis is not in Zootropolis 2.
Okay, fine.
The next one, Chris Pratt.
I'm going to say no to this one again. Again, though, I could see him doing it.
I feel like I've seen that he is in this, but I don't know who he plays. I'm going to say yes.
Ben, you're a no?
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no.
Chris Pratt is not in Zootropolis 2. Next one, Olaf himself, Josh Gad.
Yeah, surely.
He plays the angry little typing person in the police station. Knew that one.
Okay, nice. Good job.
2 more to go. We got Stephanie Beatrice.
Yeah, I reckon
yes. Is she one of the police officers?
She's a hippo.
She's a hippo, yeah.
Oh, I was so wrong. Okay.
Wait, no, who's a police officer? It's a hippo.
It is a police officer.
Oh, let's see.
The team of hippos.
Because I was thinking like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like that's what.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You made that connection. Yeah.
And your last one is Macaulay Culkin.
Yes.
I think he is.
Yes,
Him
I believe
and
he
Miss
is.
London Tipton. They're both in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who does he play? Can you remember?
He is one of the. He's not the father Lynx. He's like one of the 2 siblings, but not the main one.
Oh, cool.
They're both the other. It's weird. They've made them both siblings.
Fine. Okay.
Good game.
Right.
Okay.
That is everything from your very well titled game of are they in Zootropolis 2 or are they not in Zootropolis 2? Right. Up next is lost my train of thought.
Things.
Thank you, Craig. Stranger Things. I'll let Craig kick this one off. I think he's very excited. He came in with the Demogorgon. So
to be honest, right, let me start this off because I made a video the other day and I was like, I was not excited for Stranger Things 5 because I lost my momentum because of how long it was. When it finished, I was like, I need this series now. 3 years later, I was like, no. After finishing it, I was like, this is one of the best series of all time. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I was exactly the same.
So I was a big fan of of Volume 1, Season 5, especially Episode 4. What about you, Luis?
So season 4, just going off. Sorry, episode 4 even. Just going off what you said there. Episode 4, I was very contradicted on. I have my little serialized account that I just barely use because the UI is nowhere near as good as Letterboxd. But what I said in it was that the first 20 minutes of episode 4 was some of the worst television I've ever seen. I just don't like the writing. I stand on this hill. I was running up it, but Max should have died at the end of last season. I think it would be way more impactful for this season for them to have something to really, really push for. And I think it's really cute, that Lucas has been there by her side and all that jazz. But Lucas dealing with that grief rather than what's there at the moment. You would have Lucas dealing with Max's grief. You've got Dustin dealing with Eddie's. Dustin's become a massive knob, but that's because he's dealing with Eddie's grief. And it's fantastically done, which sets up him and Steve having a weird relationship. And I personally think Steve's going to try and sacrifice himself for Dustin. Dustin's going to do it instead. Dustin's going to die. Steve's going to get upset. Try and sacrifice himself for Jonathan. Jonathan's going to do it. Jonathan's going to die. But in doing so, say to Steve even, take the ring, marry Nancy, look after her, good job. That's how I think it's all going to play out. So I honestly think that the Max dying should have been the catalyst, because when I saw the boots enter frame in whatever it was, episode 3, I was convinced that was Eddie. And then I saw her.
So did I. So did I.
Huh? Like, I was like, that don't make no sense. Like, I get, obviously, people having watched the show, the show in the West End and Broadway, it ties a few things up, and obviously we're going to have that explored throughout the rest of the season, but I just don't think it works. And her dialogue with, what's her name, Holly, is interesting, but I genuinely think Holly Wheeler might be one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen. I don't know why, but she just does my head in. She just annoys me. And then once their sort of section finished and it went into the Hawkins guys again, the absolute creation of a character that is Derek Thurnbow, well, thank you very much. That was great to see him blossom from a annoying little kid into still an annoying child, but he took that petulance and made it fantastic. It was great. And to then have his dynamic with the rest of them, it was great to see. And I generally think Will Byers has become one of the greatest TV characters we've seen, which is saying a lot because I despised him in season 4, and he's gone from here to here incredibly quickly.
Yeah, what I will say is, when you said about Derek, what's funny, I think, and I was probably part of it as well, but I didn't post anything, was, who is this kid? Why is he hot his own poster? Like, what is going on? What is this kid? Why is he here? And then he's gone to people making videos of him being the MVP, being like the GOAT. To be fair to it, he has some incredible lines, some perfect. The way he delivered those lines was perfect. Yeah. Considering as well, he's never properly acted before. He's been in one commercial. Like, he's done really well. And I think his character is brilliant. What I find interesting as well is when we saw, I think it's season 2, with that awful episode of 11 and 8 and that whole crap around that. And I, for one, said in my video as well, I was like, that was one of the worst episodes I've ever seen. But what I feel like is really great with this show and great with the Duffer Brothers is they've made that connection to now. I don't know how it does connect because I haven't really looked into it. But I do find that really interesting, the fact that she's come back, she's been locked away, she has some sort of part to play. What I find annoying, a little bit annoying, I don't know if you agree, is I just feel like the Upside Down has become more of a hangout than like a dangerous place now. Because I feel like when you thought about the Upside Down, you used to think, when we go in there, oh, we're going to see Demogorgons, we're going to see Vecna, we're going to see something in there. the whole end of season 4 was like such a threat because they're running around like crazy. And like we come to this, they're like, oh yeah, we're on our like 38th crawl now. We've gone in there, we had a look around. I feel like the Upside Down should have been really dangerous, not just let's go and have a walk around, see if we can find it. The soldiers
I definitely
were
think
hanging around.
they shouldn't have done as many crawls as they did. I think that definitely makes it less scary. But then obviously there's that side of it where when Hopper does get trapped in the Upside Down, oh no, like I still felt nervous for him. I personally don't think they're going to kill off Hopper, mainly because they've already done it. So I kind of was a little bit like, oh, he'll be fine. But I do definitely see both sides of the coin there. The Upside Down is an interesting place. Obviously, Dimension X, Upside Down, and the other one, which I can never remember the name for, are obviously 3 very different places, which are yet to be answered. Like, why is the Upside Down Hawkins on November 6th, 1983? Doesn't make any sense yet. But obviously that will be explored. Going back to the 8th situation, I am also on the happy train of that because... for those of you who didn't know, the episode that we are talking about in season 2 was basically actually there for a pilot episode because they were originally going to do a spin-off show that followed other people who were from the Hawkins lab, such as 8, and then it was received horrendously, and they went, well, we're not doing that then. So they scrapped that, took it back to the drawing board, and then obviously they're now bringing her back, which I think works quite well because they're tying up that loose end that people have wanted for years. The loose end that I really want tied up is where did Will Byers' dog go? Because he just died, and there's been no talk on that. So MVP. But
I do forget about that. What I've seen as well is people are saying that the Demogorgons have been nerfed. They aren't, they're not powerful. They're not how they should be. Like I don't know where people are getting that from. Like I've seen videos of people saying, like, where is that coming from? That
episode 4, there was a Demogorgon that went through someone. Like actually turned him into mush.
That whole thing with Holly, when he was in the room, flipping her around, chucking her around. He wasn't there to kill her. If he wanted to kill her, she'd be dead. He was there to capture her. Do you know what I mean? So that's what was really interesting. That whole bit when he went for Derek Turnbow and they're messing around. Yes, it's funny, but that's sort of what they do. They try to capture it. That's what they're doing, and then
they're minions have that whole at the end of the day.
Yeah. They are minions.
They're Vecna's
they're
soldiers.
Scary, exactly. And then you've got that whole thing with season 4, where they went completely ham on all of these soldiers. One of them was throwing him, and the other was doing a slam like it was some. I've seen edits of basketball edits where you've got LeBron James and he's chucking the ball, and the shit that they were doing in that final scene was insane. And then
I mean, Mike, Lucas, and Robin, they were nearly toast. It's very clear that that there is an ill intent behind it. I mean, bless her heart, Karen Wheeler.
Oh,
I'm not quite sure how she survived that. I mean, Ted's on borrowed time as well.
One of the most shocking bits of that series because you think, oh yeah, you think surely there's no way good old Karen, is finishing this Demogorgon with a bottle of wine. Like it's not happening. So you think there and think, oh, okay, no, surely she's dead. Or
but
surely
we all thought that Karen was somewhat connected to Vecna for a long time. Obviously, when the first episode title did come out of the vanishing of something Wheeler, obviously a lot of people immediately linked that to Holly. And sadly, with set leaks and stuff like that, we knew that it was going to be Holly because she was seen with Vecna at the Creel house. But we don't know the link to these kids. I mean, is it? We saw something that I want to go into on the channel soon. Is why this poster of Henry Creel having done acting and stuff like that with a noticeable amount of main characters, including Hopper, including Joyce, whether that's a true event story, the ages don't necessarily match up, but what is it that links them? Is it something weird and slightly behind the scenes, Henry Creel's actually a top shagger and is the father of Will Byers and Holly Wheeler? You never know. Karen's a little minx. We know she likes to go for the slightly rebellious men, and that's quite literally what Henry Creel was back on the Times. So, where does it come from? Where does it span from? And where do these kids get their powers from? And the fact that we get to see Will Byers in arguably one of the greatest. I was literally jumping around the room at 1 a.m. or whenever I was watching it for William Byers it just
Well, I will say that scene is easily one of the best scenes of TV this year, and perhaps, I think just that whole thing where you're seeing the flashback, you're seeing, the kids when they were younger,
yeah,
and you
the
just think,
editing.
nah, this is it. I was sat there going, he's toast, he's done. Demogorgon's got him, and then it cuts, and you're just sat there going, the fuck, like, is 11 here? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But when he sat there, when he stood there and doing that thing,
It's the eyes as well.
The
fact that eyes rotate is crazy. It's so well done. And the fact that he harnesses his powers, like 11 and the rest of them, they harness their powers this way. They're pushing out their powers, whereas Will pulls it. So it's like he's quite literally taking the power from Vecna and using that. And the fact that he can do like with his head and stuff like that as well. We've seen this theory. I don't know if anyone's seen it online. That 11 plus 8. What's the missing number? It's going to be 1. Yeah. And obviously there's the whole D20 dice roll with
reference, isn't it?
Erica, and that's a very well known theory. But what if that 1 isn't Henry Creel Vecna? It's Will using Vecna power as 1. So whether Will was the missing piece of that the entire time, it wouldn't surprise me. And I mean, the man's an absolute legend. If you watch the first episode of season 5, that is parkour at its finest right there. That man is Will the Wise. That is, yeah.
I forgot about Will the Wise.
But Will Byers has really done, like, his growth and character development is insane. And people, I think Noah Schnapp deserves incredible kudos because he, yes, I agree with you. Season 4, didn't really like him that much. He was a bit annoying. Throughout growing up, great. But that whole thing with season 5 and what we're going to get with him, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him die, to be honest.
I wouldn't put it past him as well.
I think he's too connected to
Vecna. I don't think Mike's gonna go. I don't think Nancy's gonna go. Do you know what? They could do something really funny and they could not kill off anyone. They could all come back together, all happy families, and no one's dead apart from Vecna.
Who's the one you think is gone?
Yeah. Who do I think's gone?
Who's like the one person you think is not making it past that finale?
Jonathan or Dustin?
I think Lucas.
I think Steve would be an absolute heartbreak. Don't get me wrong. Steve would be a heartbreak. But they've got 2 heartbreak kills in this season. If they kill Dustin, people will riot. If they kill Steve, people will riot. They won't do both. And based on this whole conversation last season of Nancy and Steve together talking about a family with 5 kids, blah, 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 we've now seen a ring introduced into the situation, and this rivalry between Dustin and Steve, and also between Jonathan and Steve. Something's happening with Steve, but I genuinely don't think he's dying. I think that Dustin's gonna die, or I think Jonathan's gonna be the only one to die. Also because, and this is a major spoiler, and I apologize to anybody, there's been set leaks of adult Dustin and adult Steve together, where Dustin and Steve come back, which in a notable older look to them, Dustin has Eddie's bat tattoo on his arm. He doesn't have that at the beginning of season 5. Steve notably looks older as a father figure. I genuinely think Steve and Nancy are going to start a family. One of the kids is going to be called Jonathan or something like that, I don't know. And Dustin will be Uncle Dustin, and he'll be the one that comes over and tells the story of Stranger Things to Steve and Nancy's kid. It would not surprise me.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, but I think I do think maybe you're right, Charlie, with the fact that I don't think maybe Lucas is getting out of it. Maybe he does something to save Max or do something with Max, and perhaps he goes, because I feel like you have. Yes, you've got Steve, you've got Jonathan, you've got Nancy. But I feel like you have to maybe lose one of the core members. I feel like it wouldn't make sense for Dustin. It doesn't really make sense for Mike.
Yeah.
11, I doubt will go. I think 11's going to be fine, and Mike will be fine.
Joyce could be done.
They don't have a happy ending for Lucas and Max. They said there's no happy ending for them.
No, I think Lucas is done.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
I obviously a few moments back I did cut out for a little bit. I do apologise. I just want to know if my goat was mentioned in my absence of Derek Turnbow.
He was indeed
a legend.
I sat there and went, yeah. I didn't like. No one liked him at the start. Everyone made videos about who the hell this guy is. Videos are now being made of who the MVP is. Of course, it's Derek.
That line
Derek's
that he
a fun
dropped
one.
to the soldiers is just, your men
The big
can't do
question is,
shit.
though, right?
But just like that is.
The big question is, though, right, from Volume 1, where is Ted? Where is Ted Wheeler?
Yeah.
Is he in hospital? Is he dead? Is he,
They
they went to
I
check
think-
him, didn't they?
Ted's a goner. I think Ted's going to sacrifice himself again to save Karen, and that's going to come full circle because obviously his character arc is that he's a crap husband and stuff like that, which is why Joyce was shagging Henry Keel. But I think he's going to come in and sacrifice himself and really make up a good part of his story because he kind of did that in the new episode, but got bodied through a wall. Bless him. But he's slightly better off than Karen, and I still think she's not seen the last of Vecna by any means.
I agree.
There is some sort of connection to the Wheeler family yet to be explored. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's got something to do with that stage show that they've teased on the flyer and stuff like that. So
Obviously, with the Wheelers, do you think? Sorry, did you both hate the sort of needle drop moment as much as I did when she was writing the name on the clipboard? I felt like after the first letter, it was so obvious, and you didn't need to watch her spell out the whole name.
Yeah.
I think it could have been sped up, but then I also didn't deep it too much. I knew it was going to happen. It was for dramatic effect.
Cool thing, but I felt like if you just wrote the H and cut, I think we'd get the gist.
Yeah.
But,
so I think what is it now? We get was it 3 episodes in Boxing Day and then a final one on New Year's Eve? Is that how it works?
That's right, yeah.
And that New Year's Eve one's 2 hours long, so
New Year's Eve is 2 hours. We got Deadpool director Sean Levy is doing 1 episode, and I think that episode is primarily Max.
It's episode 7.
Episode 7 is all about Max. But
I'm happy with that though. I'm happy. Stranger Things has got a very long history of including incredible directors for no random reason. I found out the other day that Andrew Stanton has directed multiple episodes of Stranger Things. And for those of you who don't know Andrew Stanton, he is a huge animated film director. He is responsible for Finding Nemo. He is responsible for WALL-E. Insane films. And the fact that he's just put his... Andrew Stanton was in charge of one of my favourite Stranger Things 2 episodes, which is the whole Nancy, Jonathan, you pull out games strong, that sort of thing. Great episode.
The final thing I want to talk about Stranger Things is, of course, Vecna. We don't really see him a lot in this series. We see obviously parts of Henry Creel, but obviously we get that final scene when he comes out. He aura farms completely.
That new design.
And then, he's... I want to talk about that thing, you're focused on the soldier's head. Straight through. There's no messing about there.
That was crazy. That was crazy. I audibly was like... thank God I live in a bungalow and my family live on the other side of the house, because I was screaming at whatever time it was in the morning. That's brutal. And it's the first... I'm pretty sure it's the first, firstly, it's the first Stranger Things series to get an R-rated, title to it. But it's also one of the first Netflix shows which has changed the age rating from a 12 all the way up to now an R-rated feature. And I think it's needed. I think this final season's got to be R-rated because, bringing back to the season, what you were talking about earlier about the Demodogs and the Demogorgons and stuff, these guys are brutal. I mean, in that scene alone, we get multiple people literally ripped to pieces and turned into pulp. And it needs to happen. Karen Wheeler in its own, that is the most brutal Stranger Things has ever been. Even Bob didn't get treated like that.
No.
So I'm just excited to see the return of Eddie Munson, man. What's going to happen?
Do you think?
Bring on the next volume. Well, Stranger Things has done very well.
Yeah. I got one last question.
I'm going to let you guys talk about Zootopia 2.
Right, before you run off, I got one last question for you.
Go on.
Sorry, Ben, to keep you waiting. One last thing.
Stranger Things.
We know, I'm pretty sure we know for certain that this show is going to be getting spin-offs in the future. Finn Wolfhard has already guessed what it is somehow. The Duffers confirmed to him that what he said was completely right, and they were completely baffled by how he found out. But I want to know, what do you two think a spin-off of Stranger Things could look like? Or what would you want to see a spin-off of? Or do you not care and you just want to see the end?
To be honest, I don't know.
I wouldn't mind seeing an additional location like additional countries, because that's a big question that I've had since season 1 is the Upside Down. Obviously, I know, and based on the rule that's around Hawkins in the Upside Down that we now know, which somehow they didn't find in any of the other seasons they've been in, I would like to know whether that is just, the Hawkins that we know, whether that's in a big circle that's inside Dimension X and where Dimension X is. I want to know if that does then expand, because obviously we see it happen in Alaska. There's a gate in Alaska in some way, shape, or form. Like, how far does that stretch? Are we going to get like a Stranger Things London? Like, are we going to explore a more 28 years later sort of vibe? Are we going to be going down a, whatever that may be?
I'm partial to it, but to be honest, to put it lightly, I couldn't care what they do. I feel like they make sure that they put the right effort into it and delivered it correctly. So if we get one, great. If we don't, not fussed.
I think I'm in your category, Craig.
What was the spin-off they announced, by the way, Charlie? Was it an 11 show?
They haven't announced any spin-offs yet. They've just said, the Duffers basically said that Finn Wolfhard is the only person so far to guess it. They genuinely thought a Netflix exec had told him and had started leaking their plans, which they were fuming about, but he genuinely just guessed it. And they were baffled.
I'll call it now. Straight, it's going to be the scene I was talking about. Steve and Dustin as an older partnership in some way, shape, or form. The Adventures of Steve and Dustin, or some, I don't know. And they go through different films, pointing out plot holes, like how Marty nearly does his mum. Anyway.
Sorry, lad. I will let you chat about Zootopia 2. So enjoy, and I will catch you soon.
Thank you very much, Craig.
Legend. Bye.
Stranger Things, am I right?
Animals time. Let's get it. I guess we didn't really do this with Stranger Things. I kind of forgot, but I will go first. Rating out of 10 for Zootropolis, and then we'll go to Luis and then Ben, just because that's the order on my screen right now. I had this higher yesterday, but upon thought, I'm going to go for a 7 out of 10. Luis?
I am going to go for an 8, maybe an 8.5 at a push, but I think an 8 is pretty solid.
And Ben?
I'm going to go for a 7 out of 10 as well.
Okay. I was an 8 yesterday for context.
We'll start with Luis at 8 then.
Yeah, we always start with the highest rating, so...
Yeah, start with the highest rating. Why did you think it was an 8?
So I loved the first Zootopia, Zootropolis, what you want to call it. I saw it in the cinema 5+ times. Like, I really, really enjoyed it as a kid. I really enjoyed it. The world building was great. It has that weird spooky element to it. Like, it kind of gives me the creeps, which I think works really well for it. The characters are fun. And just, as someone who is trained in animation and can appreciate the craft that goes into it, having that world be built was just absolutely fantastic, and I really loved it. This, pushed boundaries in terms of animation. There was that whole thing where over 100,000 characters were on screen at once, and obviously we saw that within the Burning Man, or Burning, whatever it was, Burning Paw
Mammal
Festival. That was it, Burning Mammal.
Burning Mammal.
We saw that there. That was just fantastic. I think they introduced characters flawlessly. The new characters, I think, was great, and to have Ke Huy Quan be such a fun and charming character is amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing it grow. But also, I had a really personal connection to this film. I saw it get announced back in 2022 at D23, and I met an animator who was working on it at the time, and I didn't know. I said to him, he was very, very, very kindly drove from Disney to meet me and one of my friends at the Disney parks, just for like a little interview, not necessarily to film it or anything. I wasn't doing contact back then full time anyway. It was more just from someone who wants to be in animation and work at Disney. How can you help me, fulfill my dreams? He was amazing, such a lovely guy, Jacob Frey. He's got an incredible short film that he directed called The Present, so do check that out. I'll send the link to these guys, maybe pop it in the description or something. But he's a huge inspiration of mine. And he was wearing a Zootopia crew shirt, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together because he wasn't at all giving a spoiler. But in hindsight, was that him subtly hinting at the fact this film is coming out? I don't know. But the fact it was then announced 24 hours later, I look back at that as such a lovely message and connection for me. So I was hugely excited for it. And as a massive fan of the first film, I am so happy they did that justice, especially with Disney having some very ropey films over the last couple of years. even though they're good at sequels. You know, Frozen 2 was great. Frozen 3 is going to be good, I'm assuming. You know, I think I generally think it's a perfect sequel. Yeah. And to be fair, even just, I've said this, Charlie said this earlier, but the hidden details, the references, the adult references, the child references, Easter eggs is a big thing that I really enjoy looking for in films. The Easter eggs, the real world references, the voiceovers, the callbacks, the, you know, everything. I just think it was the craft of it was so beautifully done, and I think they deserve all the praise they.
Yeah, definitely those Easter eggs for me. The Ratatouille one, loved it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes. Cross studio Easter eggs as well.
Hulu Zoo, I thought was a really sick thing to include.
Yeah, I like that.
That was really funny.
And including Marvel movies as well. That was fun. They've not done that yet. Obviously, they had in the first film the Duke of Weaselton, however you want to say it. Obviously, with his bootleg DVDs. But now,
did you notice that we were on the Float 12
cool.
this time? They kind of like took a punch at themselves. So obviously in the first one you had Floatzin, and then in this one you had Floatzin 12, which is obviously a dig at themselves and their thing to make a massive amount of sequels that we were discussing earlier. I think I had a lot of I saw that.
That's crazy.
But
wow.
I think I echo all the same praise that you've said already. I think for me, one of my major problems, which I said in my small review earlier, I felt like the narrative for Judy and Nick wasn't as great as the first film. Obviously, always in the first film you have that simple narrative that everyone backs of like this team building together. But I think Judy's arc for herself was great in the first film. You see her go through her training, you see her get rejected, you see her get put in. She builds up to becoming a member of the ZPD, whereas this one, there's nothing that really kind of hits you that same way. It's kind of just them battling with their demons as a pair, which isn't as compelling as that story in the first film. While there's a really great moment that happens with them two on, I think it's a rooftop, where they sort of, kind of, as you said earlier, like their willingness to want them to kiss, but it's kind of like they confess their undying gratitude. I don't want to say love, undying gratitude for each other. Even with weird lines like "love you." It's an interesting dynamic that they've created to these two characters. They're obviously not going to put them in a relationship because, like you said, it is a bunny and a fox, and it's a bit odd. But I don't know. It's like they want to push this further, but they don't know how to do it, so they're going to go right to the boundary that they can without getting themselves cancelled, and it's putting them in some weird territories. But yeah, it's just not. Yeah, they'll be gassing this stuff up, but I don't know. For me, I like it. It's a very, very good sequel. It's one of the best Disney movies that we've had in recent years. It's leaps and bounds beyond whatever they tried to do with Strange World, if that was even what it was titled. But yeah, I just don't know if it was quite as compelling as it could have been. And I think some of the characters felt a little bit undercooked for me. And I understand that I'm purely saying negatives right now, but it's because I just echo everything Louise said in terms of positives. But I do feel a flip side point to Louise. I don't think Gary the Snake was as great as he could have been, and I think he was a little bit underutilized. Yeah, cool character, didn't have enough to do.
Okay, what did I gave it a 7. The reason I gave it a 7 is because, taking us back to the first one, I was late to the party with it. I never watched it when it first came out. I only watched it for the first time last year. And obviously, we always talk about the classic going into a film when it's already got hype around it. You're assuming greatness, if that makes sense. So I watched it in my own time about a year ago, and I was kind of like, was that it? And I don't mean it in terms of like, that was an awful film. I mean like, why has this got such a huge cult following? I thought it was a fun film. I enjoyed it, but there are other Disney films that I also enjoyed to the same level that don't have that cult following. And it was just strange to me to not understand why, like, what did people grasp from it that made it into what it is. But I enjoyed the first one. I thought it was fun. I think you're right. It's one of them, like, what will soon become like a standalone cult classic of a Disney film, because it tackles some really interesting like points, and the animation's fun. You're right, the references and just everything about it is just fun, and it's an easy watch. So obviously the second one comes around, I'm going to give it a go, and I think I would say you're right, it's probably the perfect sequel. I think I enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed the first one. which obviously is the big risk when you're making a secondary film. So on that point, they've nailed it of being able to match that. I think, yes, I had fun with it. Weirdly, the screening that I watched it in was all adults. Like, there wasn't a single child in my screen.
That was the same for me.
And that is interesting, and it was nice, but it meant that, them references that kids probably don't get, I did, and everyone else did, and it made us chuckle where we meant to. So you're right, like seeing Remy under the hat and all them little stupid jokes, or the kind of weird, like potentially like little like adult humor jokes that are there and hidden under 80,000 puns that are in this film, were just like dad joke chuckles, if that makes sense. And that I really liked. I thought the story was great. I think, developing the whole, taking the two main characters into a secondary film, how do you keep them engaged as the first? If not, how do you develop that? And yes, you're right. I do think they tackled it well, because I felt like all of these inside their like mental health problems were never not mentioned in the first one, but they had to actually mention it and battle it in this second one. And watching them kind of like confess their, as you said, like relationship in terms of like explaining all their like inner demons was really nice to hear, because it not just is it an obvious, but stating that in what will be a child's film, there will be children that hear that and understand that it's okay. If that, like, do you know what I mean? It's something that could be relatable and whatever. I did enjoy the storyline. I really liked the whole hidden reptile like village thing. I loved like uncovering it, and I actually really liked the watching the lighthouse, and they go into like little snow under reptile village, and I just thought that was really pretty. I really liked that. Really simple, nothing too big to even discuss on it. I just liked it. And one thing that I was quite a fan of is how they've really not talked much or even spoiled it in any poster or anything about the lynxes. The lynxes were technically a surprise, and I really liked it. And one of my, I didn't watch the trailer for this film. I straight up just didn't know anything about it, so I went straight into this. And yes, the voice actors of how many there are were cool, because as someone that likes film, I clocked who almost every single person was. Like Andy Samberg, I was like, oh, fucking Jake Peralta, like what? Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and the guy that plays his dad, like they made the lynx look like him. And I was like, oh, that was cool. But yeah, I found it as a fun film. I maybe I rated it as a 7 and maybe not as higher, because I don't have the pull that everyone else did, because they watched it in the moment. I was a late bloomer, if that makes sense. But I definitely agree with you in the fact that, we talk about sequels and maybe there doesn't need to be so many, but they've done a good job with this one. And you're right, it is one of the stronger of Disney in the last few years. It was fun. All I can say is it's a fun film. And they've done a great job, because it looks brilliant as well. I think the animations were really good. I was noticing little things that I don't know if you clocked at all, but animation has come a long way, but there's still obviously a main difference between a human's natural body reflexes and what animation can accomplish. And I was noticing things in this that actually stood out to me as being like a realistic mechanic that I can't even describe them to you if I wanted to right now. It's just weird. It's just the way your faces move and blink and smile and things like that really worked. And for me to sit in the cinema and in the back of my mind actually recognize them, I was like, whoa, that was wow, okay. So again, yeah, so it was like hats off to that again. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've just watched a film that's a sequel, something I had fun with, some characters that tackled some interesting points. Obviously, what will be a development into another storyline, and then also seeing, genuine evolutionary growth in animation. Overall, it's that's great. It was a good experience and watch. I think that's why it landed a 7 for me. It would be higher if maybe I was a furry, basically. Generally, I can say it.
I do like one point that you mentioned, Ben, about the reptiles, because it's very rare that a sequel will actually go in depth and answer a question that audiences had after the first film.
Yeah,
and
true.
A lot of the time, they'll shy away from it.
Yeah.
On the endless stories, I had something just pop into my mind that I will personally hate, but I wouldn't have it out of their reach to go and do this. In the final film, say Zootopia 4 post-credits scene, and you see humans introduced, and they try and flip this on its head. I could see them go into this kind of realm to do this kind of like perspective on humanity and kind of the sort of what if the animals were the rulers and the humans were in cages kind of thing, flip things on its head. I don't know, it just feels like it's the kind of thing they do. It feels like Zootopia is a very humanized story told through animals. Like you mentioned earlier, the undertones of like drug dealing and crime within the city.
So that's what works.
Yeah. Just whether they entirely want to flip this on its head.
Hmm.
I don't think they go. I definitely think they could go down more extreme routes, like
Dinosaurs.
serious themes.
Well, that'd be great.
Serious themes. So
Dinosaurs in the ice. Yeah.
Or,
go an ice age route.
or out front there,
Yes.
Thunder Town, or whatever it's called.
But that's what I think, the fact that they could so ethically introduce why this place didn't exist. We already saw that this place didn't exist, but they told us exactly why it doesn't. And I think that works so well. And I think there's different places that we haven't yet. Bayou area that we looked at in the centre of the map. I don't know if it's from the first film. There's that big tree that people live in. There's just so many directions people can go there.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about something that I may have misread into, but someone that might know the film a bit more might be able to answer that question. In the post-credit scene, and for anyone that, well, if you're listening to this, you've had it spoiled, so I'm just going to say it now. The post-credit scene obviously shows Judy has fixed the little microphone of the carrot. She places it on her windowsill, and a feather lays down, and you hear the argument of her neighbours through the wall. Like I said, I joined this film a little bit late, so I can't remember it too well. Have we seen what her neighbours look like?
Yeah.
Specifically the ones talking?
We did.
They're in the first film.
What are they? What animals are they?
They are. Yeah.
So who moves?
So my theory is correct then. That post-credit scene was a Brother Bear reference. No, they're not yaks. They're goats because and I was trying to clock it, they're talking to each other and they're like, no, you shut up. No, and in Brother Bear, you have the rams that echo and it bounces back. And I was, like I said, I'm not a huge fan, so I didn't know if I'd seen them, but I was trying to clock if we had seen her neighbours before and if her neighbours were rams, because that would be the Brother Bear universe within it. And that's what I was trying to clock.
Yeah,
but
you're completely right, Ben. You've absolutely smashed that.
Yeah. Also,
it came to me instantly, but I was unsure if I'd made that up.
The co-directors of Zootropolis voiced those two characters.
There you go. Yeah, I'm so glad I got that right.
Your challenge is to let me know if you see any others.
Interesting. All right. Okay. Sure.
That could be a really cool finale. Again, I'm throwing out stupid ideas, but honestly, it's Disney. Anything can happen. Like literally, the last one is like the Disney animal multiverse. It's like Zootropolis Endgame.
I wouldn't mind it if it's things like, you know how in like Frozen you get like Rapunzel walk past in the background. It's like something it's not going to change anything. So you're right. You have Shere Khan in the back at some point, and Winnie the Pooh is just like a part in a cafe or something. Like something that you just go, oh, that's cute, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because if it, which
Winnie
is
the
who?
Pooh's in it.
You can see, pretty much every Disney
Mm.
appears in some way, shape, or form.
You also have the weatherman is Bob Tiger, obviously referencing Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, which is really cool.
Yeah,
voiced
that's
by
cool.
him as well. To anyone that doesn't know.
Did you
Mm-hmm.
Did you also notice Michael J. the Fox?
Yep.
That's sick. Big fan of that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I love
Even just like
stupid
returning
references.
not cameos, but like Jenny Slate came back as, forgive me, I can't remember her name. But you had obviously Alan Tudyk return as Weaselton. I hate when you get like these returning characters with an American voice, but their original voice actor.
True.
So it's nice to see.
Very
that.
true.
Second film, I would be interested to see if they did another TV show before the third film, which is them capturing each of the people of how escape prison, put it in the back. I think that would work better as like a short, fun show, as opposed to a movie. But it's got to happen in some way, shape, or form. We've got to see it. And obviously, bearing in mind this one took place literally like within a week of the first one.
You're right. I think there's a lot that they can build into.
Yeah,
Anything
it's going to be a
else
lot
to
of
touch on?
fun, I think.
I think I've said all my points.
Yeah, I think I've discussed mine. I'm not a huge person into it, and this episode almost feels pointless for me. I didn't watch Stranger Things, and I'm not that into Zootropolis, so I'm just like, just here, really, just vibing. But I'm looking forward to seeing.
Topic at the start, so that's fine.
Sure.
Okay, well, I guess we'll let this one off here. We'll say thank you to everyone for listening in. This will, of course, be out on Wednesday. We'll see you again next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Thank you again for Luis coming on. Thank you so much for coming back on. This has been the Frame Podcast. Don't know why I'm doing this so formally. I have been Charlie. Ben has been Ben. Luis has been Luis, and you have been yourselves. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you later. Good evening.
Goodbye. So on.